I kind of realized that I became disillusioned in some way with my life. I felt like I was in this middle ground of knowing that the life that I am living at that point was great. But then it is time for me to move to another level of my life. But at the same time, I don't know what that level is supposed to be. I had to be very frank with myself. I had to be very real about how I was feeling. And to summarize it, I felt like a loser. Hello. Welcome to Let's Have Drinks podcast. My name is Maeyo. I'm your host. And I'm really hoping that you are new here. But if you found me from my vlogging channel, this is a whole new space dedicated to Let's Have Drinks in this podcast. And if you're thinking, what is Let's Have Drinks about? Let's Have Drinks is a space where we kind of just figure out life over really good drinks. And talking about drinks, today's drink is a lime mojito mocktail. It's a very simple one, very classic. This is usually what I order when I go out and I don't know what to order. And I have a lot of memories with this mocktail. And so I decided to just start the season out with this. And cheers. It's not bad, but it's not the best mojito I've ever had. If you're not new here, you can see that this is a new space. I'm shooting from a whole studio in the middle of London. I'm actually shooting this right after work. It's been a long day of work. I think I've been up for 12 hours now. And I almost actually gave up on shooting this episode. I just felt really tired. And then I got myself like a really big vanilla latte from Blank Street. And that kind of just, put some pep in my step. And so I'm here. I'm really excited to just share this space with you guys and talk about how we got here. But first of all, how everything started. So Let's Have Drinks actually started as a conversation I had with my friend. She moved from the UK back to Lagos, Nigeria, which was not something that was really popular at that time. And I was quite curious to know why she did that. And I wanted to share her story with everyone that was watching me on my YouTube at that time. And the episode did pretty well. People were actually sharing their lives. And we talked about a lot of things that we were not expecting as adults, or things that we were not told would happen as adults, where the life that you thought was right for you was not necessarily what actually is meant for you. And then that just kind of spiraled into conversations that I had with different friends, and I really got really good feedback. It wasn't the biggest audience, which was totally fine. I just wanted to get my friends on there to tell their stories because I think I have really interesting friends with really interesting stories. And I could see that people were getting some sort of knowledge, or they were just finding out that they're not alone in a lot of things that they're going through. And I decided to just make it like a proper podcast rather than just videos on my vlogging channel. And from there, it just kind of spiraled. I took it really unseriously. But then something happened in July. So in July, I went for a vacation. July is my birthday. For the past 4 years now, I go on a vacation in July. During that time, I was in Italy. I did the whole eurosummer thing, which, by the way, I think the whole eurosummer thing is overrated because it is so stressful. The context of eurosummer is not the way I like to travel. We went from Finland because Finland was the country that gave us our Schengen visa, if you have to get a visa to go to Europe. And then from Finland, we went to Italy. In Italy, we went to Verona and Bologna. And then from Italy, we went to Albania. It was the longest vacation I've taken. And I'm a big travel person. I'm a big vacation person. But I could not wait for that trip to end. I just wanted to go back to my house. And during that entire trip, one of the days fell on my birthday, and that time we were in Verona. And so on my birthday, I write myself a letter from the previous year that I read on my birthday that year. The letter I wrote to myself from 2024 that I read in 2025 was pretty much me asking myself where I was spending my birthday. I asked myself, are you in Spain? Are you here? Are you in Italy? I was in Italy. And I just kind of generally asked myself various questions. Are you doing this? Have you gone to this position? Are you still maybe friends with this person? Are you still with this person? Do you still like X? Do you still like Y? Just kind of asking myself questions based on things that I expect to achieve at that particular age. And when I read my letter for turning 27, which I turned 27 last year, it felt really good. It was that I asked myself, I was in Italy and I was spending my birthday in Italy. And a lot of things kind of correlated with the life that I was living at that time. And it felt good. But then I wanted to write a letter to myself for this 2026, which I'll be turning 28, which is crazy. And I couldn't find it in myself to write that letter. And that was really because I didn't know what to write. I kind of realized that I became disillusioned in some way with my life. It just felt very mundane to ask myself, why are you spending your birthday this year? What are you doing? Those questions that I've asked myself over the years, for the past 4 years that I've been writing this letter, just felt very childish. That made it difficult for me to then write my letter for my next age, which is what I'll be turning this year. Because of that, I had to really sit down and think. And I just felt like there should be more than this. There should be more to aspire to. There should be more things than just spend my birthday somewhere. The reason why I could write those letters to myself was because I had certain expectations of myself at that particular age. And while the things in the letters were not things that I particularly put as goals for the year, I realized that subconsciously I was working towards them so that by the next year, I could say that, yes, I've actually done this for myself and I'm happy with the stage I am at that point in my life. But in this point, it was pretty different. It just felt so difficult to put language into what I wanted. I felt like I was in this middle ground of knowing that the life that I am living at that point was great. But then it is time for me to move to another level of my life. But at the same time, I don't know what that level is supposed to be. And so I just kind of sat there in this disappointment and this sort of dissatisfaction of really not knowing what to do next, but knowing that I'm supposed to be preparing myself for another stage of my life. And because of this, I came back from this vacation pretty tired. I mean, apart from the general movement that we had to do going in between cities and going in between countries, I just became very sort of detached from my life. I became kind of quiet. I became, in a way, slightly angry. This particular feeling then led to a very important conversation I had with my partner on the train. We're coming into London and it was a Sunday. And I remember it really well because I had to be very frank with myself. I had to be very real about how I was feeling. And to summarize it, I felt like a loser. I felt like I've been doing all these things for a long time or for a while. I'm not really seeing the results. I also do not like it anymore. And as someone that is so good at pivoting, I just felt like I did not want to pivot. Or rather, I felt like if I pivoted, it wouldn't look good. And I don't even know who I was thinking it wouldn't look good to. But even for myself, I didn't want to pivot. I wanted to just stay doing what I was doing, but I felt so dissatisfied doing this. And so we had to sit down in this train and kind of recount. I was looking back at everything that had happened, although I did not have any big wins, because everyone is just always looking for this big win that it did during the year. I did this and this is what happened and it was great. I had little wins. Looking back, I had like a great life. I'm living in a house I like. I'm living with a partner I like. My family is good. I have a job I enjoy. And I had to first of all take stock of the things that are going well and accept that I'm living a pretty good life. And that is great. But also it is good that I want to aspire to more. And I have to find the comfort in pivoting once more. Now, I wasn't sure what that looked like, but then I came across this thing on TikTok. I love TikTok. I came across this thing that people wanted to do from September to December, which was the 90-day lock-in challenge. And that kind of helped me figure out some things. So for the 90-day lock-in challenge, you pick whatever thing you want to do and lock in from September to December. And for me, I had 3 main things I wanted to do. I wanted to show up at the gym 3 times a week and take 10,000 steps about 5 times a week. I also wanted to post on Instagram and TikTok maybe 3 times a week. And also, I wanted to spend less time on my phone by saying yes to people that invite me out. And doing this challenge was really eye-opening. I was putting myself out there because I was recording this thing on TikTok and posting it like almost weekly. And I was accountable to strangers that I did not know that, yeah, I'm showing up for myself. But outside that, I had to really learn how to show up to do hard things. I had to learn to retrust myself that I am making good decisions, that I am choosing my identity over a feeling, because I'm someone that honestly just sits in my feelings. If I don't feel like doing something today, I will not do it. But then I realize that I have to be disciplined. I don't feel like going to the gym today, but I have tagged myself as somebody who goes to the gym, and somebody who goes to the gym whether they like it or not. I had to actually start learning to trust myself again by making sure I keep my promises to myself. And that is something that was really difficult to do, because I just realized that I couldn't trust myself to do things. So I had to make sure that I was accountable to myself and accountable to others to make sure that I actually fulfill those goals. The other one, which was spending less time on my phone, that was difficult. It's really interesting how attached we are to this brick of a phone. And I had to get this particular app to block my phones in the morning, and I still do it till now, because I realized that, quite frankly, I do not have any self-control when it comes to using my phone, and I have to have particular blocks in place. Like in the mornings, I don't use my phone until 12 o'clock because all my social media apps are locked. And on Sundays right now, I'm off social media, which, you'll be surprised what you can do when you actually have no choice but to be off your phone. And so I did that, and that made me say yes to doing things. I realized every single Saturday I had somewhere to go to, and it helped me build my community. I was saying yes to outings. I was hosting. Also, I had a barbecue in my house, which was great. Really stressful, but it was great. I had friends come over to sleep in my house for a few days, and I found myself just being freer and being more community driven by just showing up for community. And I know nowadays we say that we want community, but community deals with a lot of inconvenience. And me staying on my phone was very convenient for me to do because I'm at home. I'm enjoying my rent. I mean, there is no issue with that. But like going out, especially when you're dealing with the elements, can be a bit uncomfortable. But because I wanted to be less on my phone, I had to be inconvenienced so that I can show up for people. And there was no day that I showed up that I regretted showing up. I enjoyed every single thing that I did when I was not on my phone. And then the last one was posting on social. I had to admit to myself that I actually have an issue being perceived. And as somebody that grew up not caring about what people said about them, that was hard to admit. I did not like being perceived by people I know. And you know who will find you on social media? People you know. So that was hard. Then I decided to start a whole new TikTok. I started a whole new Instagram. And I decided that, you know what? Maybe I would end my YouTube because that no longer serves the person that I was becoming. But that was just on the wayside. So going on TikTok, posting on TikTok, I started enjoying social media more. I started realizing that there are different ways to express yourself. I was experimenting with vlogging in a different light with short form. I was someone that always said I did not enjoy short form, but I lied. I really do enjoy creating short form. I went off overthinking a creative process and just leaning into spontaneity. And that was a very interesting part of myself that I unlocked just posting on TikTok. I didn't always meet these goals every single week. Things happened. For instance, it could be that time of the month where everything was just annoying, luteal phase and all of that. But I showed up pretty much every week in different spheres of my life, and I put in more effort. I remember my partner coming to me saying that this is the happiest you have been in a long time. Because there were so many things that I attached my identity to and my worth to that, quite honestly, were just weighing me down. Because if those things did not go well, I am sad for the next 2 days. And I could not articulate that the fact that I attached my identity and my self-worth to these achievements is the reason why I'm annoyed. And so because I let that go and I just kind of lived in the moments by showing up for myself physically, socially, mentally, and doing something new, I felt some sort of freedom. And this particular 90-day challenge led to something interesting. On one of the days that I was saying yes to going out more and being less on my phone, I ended up at a listening party. I was at Adekunle Gold's listening party, which I think I did like a million videos about it. It's the best listening party I've been to. I've been to a couple of listening parties, and that listening party was amazing. The album is good. I think, what's the album's name? I forget what the album's name is, but the album was on my like Apple Music Wrapped. At the album listening, I was really just happy to be there. I was coming from work. Debo told me the day before that I was going to be at this listening party. I'm just like, oh, can I come? I was like, oh yes, you can come. I'm just like, great. This is part of my 90-day challenge. And so I was at this listening party. The drinks were lovely. Oh my goodness, the drinks were so good. I was listening to like really good music, and just a couple of things stood out and happened. So firstly, Adekunle Gold was talking about, prior to this album, he did a lot of things that I would not usually do. He went swimming, he took up acting classes, he was really exploring, and that allowed him to really lean into creating a different sort of sound, but still drawing a line to the type of sound he grew up listening to. And there was just a lot of freedom in creating, because it realized that, you know what, I can do anything and it's going to be amazing. And then on the other end of the spectrum, I was sitting in that room and I looked across the room and I see like this really beautiful pair of shoes. I think they were Gucci platforms, I don't remember, but they were so good. And I just like looked at the person really closely. I'm like, oh, this person is really gorgeous. Yo, it was Jackie Aina. I was starstruck for the first time in my life. And I've seen Beyonce. I mean, I saw Beyonce in concert and I was starstruck, but I think maybe because Jackie was like close proximity to me, my ears became hot. I was just like, this is Jackie. I grew up watching Jackie with my sister when I was like, what, maybe like 13, 14. And I'm finally seeing her. And the reason why I know how to do makeup, the reason why I know how to show up the way I am, the reason why I know how to look beautiful and I am confident in a particular ways, because Jackie kind of instilled that to a generation of women. I was talking to Debo. I was just like, oh my God, that's Jackie. And I was like, who? I'm just like, Jackie. I didn't know how to explain it anymore. And I was just like, do you want to meet her? I'm just like, yeah, but like, I want to say hi, but I'm so shy. At the end of the listening party, we're taking pictures with, everyone and everything. And he just dragged me along and brought me to Jackie. And I was like, oh my God. Then I talked, thankfully. I found my voice. And I talked and I said, oh, hi, Jackie, love you. Been watching you since Little Pumpkin Pie. Big fan. Thank you for all you've done. And again, you look amazing and you smell amazing. And I said hi to Dennis. Dennis was absolutely lovely. And he gifted me a perfume. She was here, like a sample size. I have that perfume with me right now. Love it. It's my special occasion perfume. And she was quite lovely. She said hi, thank you, all of that stuff. You've been here since, like, you're OG, I'm OG. I even like texted my sister like, yo, our girl Jackie's here. And Dabo then said something, was like, oh, you should come on that podcast. I said, whose podcast are you talking about? Whose podcast? He was like, your podcast, Let's Have Drinks. I said, oh, I do have a podcast called Let's Have Drinks. I do. And she should come on it. But then I was thinking, do I want Jackie to come on this podcast with the way it is looking? Hell no. No. That kind of happened. So I had to have a think. I mean, all throughout this time, I've been having a nudge to actually focus on the podcast, but then having an opportunity to have someone like Jackie on the podcast, with the podcast looking how it did before. I listened to the last audio of the last episode that I shot. That audio was so surprising. Like, I was at the gym. I finished an episode of a podcast that I love listening to. That my podcast came up. And I said, please, why does this sound horrible? And I realized that I was doing a disservice to myself and a disservice to everyone who listened and watched for the type of quality that I was giving out. Because I know they say, like, start with what you have, which I did start with what I had. But then I wasn't giving it my all. I knew that it could be better. I could put in more effort. I could sacrifice more. If I wanted someone like Jackie to come on the podcast, if I wanted guests that were like outside my friends that would, support me in any form that I show up in, I have to bring the best. And if I want to have the viewership that I want, and if I want to tell the stories that will make an impact, I have to give it everything I got. And that is how we got here. I decided, you know what? It is time to rebrand the podcast. It's time to rebrand the ethos of it. It's time to rebrand the look. It is time for me to rebrand even how I show up. Whilst I'm not really into rebranding myself for a new year, because we're in February now and everybody can like calm down and really look at their goals and think, is this aligning to what I want this year to be like? I just realized that, you know what? Things really have to change. I have to show up more honestly, more human. And that is what this rebrand was about. I got a designer from Fiverr to work on the branding. It was supposed to take 2 weeks. It took up like more than a month. I was in Morocco in December. And during that time was where I felt most like myself. I wasn't vlogging. It was nice to be on a trip without vlogging. I think since I've been traveling as an adult, I've been recording every single like thing I've been doing, which has been fun because I've gone back to look at those videos and I've enjoyed myself so much. And thankfully, Deba recorded this trip, but I didn't have to be the one to set the camera. I don't have to think about editing. I could be in the moment. And looking back at going to Morocco a second time, I remember when I went to Morocco the first time and I was vlogging and I was so happy. And I realized how much has changed from that first time where I actually did go to Morocco, fulfilling a dream that I had for myself when I was 16. And then going out because my friends said, oh yeah, pull up, let's go to Marrakesh. So that started giving me some sort of closure to be able to finally put language into what I was feeling and to finally have an idea what I could write to myself. I realized that what I was going through was a loss of wonder. I had become such an adult that those 90 days that I just said yes to things, I just kept my promises to myself, I had more joy. And I came across this article on Substack, which I'm going to read. So the article is called The Slow Death of Wonder. And it says, at some point after your mid-20s, life stops surprising you. Not dramatically, not overnight, but it happens quietly, like a candle flickering out when you are too distracted to notice. You wake up one day and you realize you've become efficient, responsible, and oddly unshakable. You know how to handle things, you know what to expect, you've stopped being amazed. And I think about this often, about how my sense of wonder has dulled over the years. As a kid, every day felt like a new story. But somewhere between job applications, deadlines, and adulthood's quiet panic, that feeling faded. These days, even joy comes with an agenda. Travel becomes content, hobbies become productivity, and slowly everything becomes a routine. And that is what happened to me. And I had to realize that I had to find the wonder in things again, which is what I am doing in 2026. I'm going to be finding the wonder in things again. And I'm really excited about that. I've been doing that lately. And the way that I've been doing that is in the fact that I set no goals for myself this year. I realized that in those letters that I've been writing to myself over the years is because I kind of think about how I want to show up for myself at a particular age. So the things that I achieved, I'm happy about when I was 25 were because 16-year-old me, 23-year-old me thought of what would 25-year-old me want to be like. And the reason why it was difficult for me to write this letter to myself was because I don't know what 30-year-old me would want. I'm going to be 30 years old in 2 years. Oh my God, that's crazy. That's crazy. I'm excited though. But then I'm like, how would she walk? What would she like? What would she do? What does she want? How does she carry herself? And whilst over the years, I've had answers for the next day. I know how 25-year-old me wants to live life. Being now in my late 20s, I just don't have the answer for what my 30-year-old self wants. And this is where the wonder is coming in, where I'm going to find wonder again and just explore things. Because the way to kind of figure out yourself is to allow yourself to do different things and see what you like and don't like. And that way you can filter out and know what your yes is and know what your no is. And my word for the year is discovery. So we're going to be discovering each other on this podcast. And I'm very excited about the process. Last year, I tried to make some goals. Honestly, I was being disingenuous to myself. I was lying to myself, and I think that is why I felt like a loser and why I felt so dissatisfied. So this year, these are the things I'll be doing. I will be baking more. I baked dinner rolls last night. It wasn't relaxing because I was doing it for the first time, but it felt so good that I could do that. I did not have to make content out of it. I made dinner rolls. I baked. I'm trying to pick up that hobby where my hobby doesn't have to be monetized, so I can just bake for myself and bake for my friends and have sweet treats. Another thing that I'm doing is I'm going to journal. Again, I used to be a big journal girl. I used to write everything, use it to process my feelings because quite frankly, I went through a lot of feelings. But I stopped and now I'm bringing that back again. And I got like the cutest journal. And I'm happy about that. Another thing that I'm going to be doing is like painting my nails every week. I mean, my nails right now, they need to be touched up, but I'm going to have nail color every week. I enjoy having color on my nails. I just don't enjoy the process of it. So I don't have to put extensions on. I'm just going to paint my nails. Another thing I'm going to do is like try a new recipe every month. I was talking to someone about starting a cookbook club. This feels like it's centered a lot around food, but I think the main thing is really just me giving things a try. I'm going to try out new workout classes. I'm going to try out new group classes. I'm just going to try out anything that I want to do and be fine with it, with not having a particular productive end. I'm going to do puzzles. I bought a puzzle a while back and I've not done the puzzle. So this is what like this year is looking out for me. Wonder, discovery, a lot of fun, a lot of being human, being honest, figuring out myself in a different way. And something that I've come to realize is that it's fine for my dreams to unfold in a different way than I would like. I thought by now I would be in a particular place, but there's a comfort in just letting that go and seeing how it will come to you. Because I feel like we have a structure of how we need life to unravel to us. And life just doesn't work like that. And God does not work like that. It's best to just let curiosity guide you and explore things that you want to do and not restrict yourself because you have a particular idea of how life should be or how life should go. And I think because we set ourselves in a particular path of how maybe our lives should be, we are kind of limiting ourselves by how much can happen. Because when you limit yourself, you only put like one road in front of you, but there are just so many possibilities of what can happen. And I think it's time for me to finally just let go, let God, not try to be in control of everything and be open to the wonder of it. So I'm happy to bring you along on this journey this season. And if you've been feeling that itch, if you've been feeling stuck, if you've been feeling like it's time for you to just find some wonder in life and to discover yourself again, I'm inviting you to just do that. You can choose again. You can pivot. You can change. You can decide to do the same thing in a different way and just have a great time with it. So yeah, I think that is what I'm figuring out right now. I'm figuring out how to discover and to choose again and to do something different, and I'm excited about that. And so we've come to the end of this episode. I've enjoyed having drinks with you and I hope to see you next time. It's going to be a very interesting season and I hope you really enjoyed this episode because I did. I just enjoyed chatting with you. It feels nice to actually do this like post work. So cheers, see you next time.